Alright guys, it's about that time. Sooner or later we would have to address the situation here on this channel, which I think is necessary. And I think I'm going to do more of these videos than I do mixes, these theory videos and idea videos of pertaining to Alexa Bliss and The Fiend. So today's topic of discussion is Alexa Bliss possessed or she isn't possessed? Now I've made it my own. I've taken leisure to go ahead and take notes on what I believe is going on here, that including things that are just, if we look at any possession story or evil spirit or how things work when it comes to those kind of things. The first noteworthy thing that I feel is necessary to take note of is the fact that evil spirits have to be welcomed in. You have things like vampires. We know that if you've seen like a show like Vampire Diaries, you know that with vampires, they can't just come into your house, or any show that deals with vampires or anything that deals with vampires for that matter, right? They can't just come into your house. You have to tell them, you have to give them that permission to come in. They can't just enter in and freelance. Let's look at what the Fiend's catchphrase is. His catchphrase is literally "let me in." Makes sense because he's supposed to be an evil spirit. If we were to say that Alexa is possessed, can we really say that? Because at the end of the day, she took a mandible claw just like everybody else. And if we look at other characters, yes, other characters have gone through change. They've changed in terms of personalities or gone back to their true selves, right? And someone could really make an argument that, well, if Alexa was hit by the mandible claw, could this be her true self? Probably not, right? But let's look at what happened to Alexa Bliss and the progression that it took for her to really let the Fiend in. Again, spirits have to be welcomed in, which is why I think that I feel like a lot of people shoot from the idea that she's trapped, that she's being forced to do the Fiend's bidding against her will, which honestly I don't think is the case, because again, she let him in. She took interest in him. She got hit by the mandible claw, and we've seen her interviews. We've seen what she had to say about it in terms of, if we're talking about when she sat down with Michael Cole before she went out to go and greet Braun Strowman, or if we're talking about when she was talking to Kevin Owens, where she was already genuinely starting to do things that match the Fiend. If that means having a couple braids in her hair like Bray, stuff like that, she did it. So at the end of the day, if she is possessed, it was a possession that was allowed, which means there is no possible way for her to be trapped because she was never against it in the first place. She gave the Fiend, again, evil spirit, you can put that in whichever way you want to say, like evil spirit, the permission to come in. She let him in, which can also explain why the Fiend genuinely feels a certain way about Alexa, to the point where he wants to protect her, keep her safe. Nobody can talk to her, nobody can say anything to her. I don't think it's about him trying to keep her from being taken away, but more so him feeling a certain way about her because she was the first to actually let him in. She took interest, she started stalking him, she watched his matches, right? But then again, even with that still doesn't answer our question of whether she's possessed or not. Okay, if we look at the meaning of possession, the state of having, owning, or controlling something, right? But again, I feel like if she is possessed, it isn't a case of her being forced against her will, but more so a case of her allowing it to happen. She's not forced against her will. I've always said this from the start. It doesn't make no sense because I think it's a two-way street. I don't remember the Fiend ever trapping Alexa or forcing her to do stuff, and that's how the storyline progressed. If we looked at the way the actual story progressed, it was more so she took the time to take interest in the Fiend by watching his matches, by following him everywhere, by following what it is that he did. You know what I'm saying? So now we have to question that if everybody reverts back to their true selves when being hit with the mandible claw. You got Seth Rollins, now he's some crazy cult leader who calls himself the Messiah. You have people like Daniel Bryan, he's a face, but he's more so like one of those faces that are just, all about saving the planet, things like that. Like he's a different kind of face. You have people like, who's another noteworthy person? Someone like Finn Balor, who went back to what it is, the Prince gimmick. I wasn't around for the Prince gimmick, so I'm not too sure about what that is, but I know that that is something to take note of, that he went back to the Prince gimmick and he's back in NXT. So here's the question. So if everyone that gets hit with the mandible claw reverses back to who they truly were, then does that mean that this is who Alexa truly is? Think about it. We just have to think about the way the story has progressed and all the noteworthy things. But one thing I wanted to make this video for, just to make sure that was taken note of, is the fact that evil spirits have to be invited in. They can't just come in. You know what I'm saying? That's why Bray's always saying to the people before he leaves, and remember, let me in. Get what I'm saying? So that could have been, it's so obvious, because that's literally his catchphrase, which means that he can't just enter and just possess somebody. They have to allow the permission, which means, you see, when Alexa took his hand, that was the time that she let him in. So tell me what you guys thought in the comment section down below. I'm always happy to see and read you guys' theories about it. Tell me what you think about this theory, whether you agree, whether you disagree, your reasons for disagreeing, your reasons for agreeing, whichever way informed you feel to do that, put it down in the comment section. And thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification button so that you're always notified when I drop something on the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.